How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. I'm feeling really good. I'm gonna be honest. The last 4 or 5 days of my life have been sensational. I've been telling everybody, all my coaches are, how are you doing? How you doing? I'm doing fantastic. I really am. I'm doing great. And that's not imaginary. That's not made up. That's not bullshit. You know, there was a time, where I wasn't that. But honestly, just getting back to my good energy, getting back to my habits, getting back to my good actions, getting back to my good thoughts, and then putting everything into place. Like, you just hit a place where everything starts to align, whenever you're going through something that's like a loss or, grief, whatever. I guess that's my little update for me. It's not going to be a very personal podcast today. Actually, I have 2 stories that are going to be included in this, but the main point of this podcast is this. I got a question from a listener that said, how to handle a man that's emotionally unavailable but wants to keep talking to you. So today we're going to go in on people that are emotionally unavailable. We're going to try to look at it from multiple sides. I'm going to tell you the pitfalls around what we do whenever we hear this, how to handle this particular situation, and how to handle emotional unavailability in the first place. And maybe I can give you some perspective that will really help you either move past these people or find a way to position yourself in a way that can give you the best chance at maybe that relationship potentially working out. But yeah, so we got a lot to talk about there. I also read this amazing thing about trust that has completely changed the way that I view trust. And I want to share it with you guys. So I'm going to do that afterwards. And then I have a couple audience questions, little things, people asking about people viewing their story or some shit. I don't fucking know. All right, but let's get into it. Let's talk about how to handle a man that is emotionally unavailable but wants to keep talking to you. So I'm going to just say first and foremost is this. If somebody's telling you they're emotionally unavailable, the first thing that pops into my head is fear. And number 2 is believe them. Believe them. If somebody's telling you that they're not ready emotionally for something, here's the thing. I think the reason sometimes that we might want to proceed forward with that person, number 1, I guess that's our own fear, right? But number 2 is right now we feel like we need to earn their love. We're going to get into that as a pitfall. But the other thing I've thought about too is that I think for a lot of people, sometimes in their life, they have used being emotionally unavailable as an excuse, right? So for instance, when somebody tells you there's emotion unavailable, I think there's 2 ways. It's either true or not true, right? So let's just say hypothetically, somebody says they're emotion unavailable and they truly are. Because honestly, I will say, I feel like that really is the case with majority of people. Majority of people that tell you they're emotionally unavailable, they're telling you to their face exactly where they're at. And what that means is they got some work to do on themselves. Honest, really, truly. And a lot of the times what we try to do is we try to break through that wall and convince them. I'm going to bring up a story about a girl that I did that to earlier in the year, and I saw her out the other day. But the other aspect is, some people might tell you they're emotionally unavailable kind of as an excuse or as a way to, pretty much in some sort of way, I guess, tell you that you're not it for them, which I think is hard, right? And I think that's also why we get into, right, the convincing or the, all right, let me stay patient, or all right, let me bring some hope. Maybe they will change their mind. Right? Because I think that some people in their life, I mean, not me personally, I don't think I've ever used as an excuse, but I think some people have used that as an excuse to tell somebody that they're not that into them. And I think for some people, again, it's just like, because you're hearing that, you're almost taking it personally. And because you're taking it personally and making it about you, making it about, oh, well, I'm just not good enough for them. I need to prove myself. But both strings, right? Whether they're telling you they're emotionally available and they're truly emotionally available, or whether they're telling you they're emotionally available and guess what? They're just not that into you. The result is still the same, which is we need to have good boundaries. We need to make sure that we are getting our needs met. And this is the hard part. Like, emotional unavailability is really just rooted in their fear, right? Maybe they're afraid to be vulnerable. I see that a lot with people that are either coming out of relationships, right? If you're coming out of a relationship, more than likely for a little while, most people will be like, I'm emotionally unavailable, right? I'm just not really ready emotionally to give you what you fully need because I'm still grieving this previous loss. And then there's just other people that flat out, and I think with this particular situation, we're talking about a man, right? It sounds to me like just like general avoidance. Some people are truly just genuinely scared of commitment, or they've had traumatic experiences in their past about themselves, and they really just cannot open themselves up vulnerably to somebody. They really can't. Until they do that inner work on themselves, they just really cannot open themselves up to people. But I guess my whole point behind all of this is you really just got to believe somebody when they're telling you that. So the question is how do you handle a man that is telling you they're emotionally available but wants to talk? I mean, point blank, it's just boundaries. You have to know that you have needs that are also important. If you are looking for a commitment, if you hear the words emotionally unavailable, turn around and fucking run. Here's the thing, right? I'll give you an example. There's a story that I have about a waitress that I met on my birthday. Actually, I think it was like a year or two ago. This waitress that was at our table was serving us. I was like, damn, this girl's pretty cute. So, you know me, I'm fucking doing my bullshit, little flirtatious jokes at the fucking table. Next thing you know, I stand up and I get in her face and I'm looking her dead in the eye. And I'm like, what's good? I was like, let's hang out outside of this. And she's like, oh, I don't really like give my information out at work. And then I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I pretty much was just telling her like, yo, you want to chill. Like, I was like, let me have your number. I was like, oh, let me text you. And she's like, I don't give out my number at work. She was like, I'll give you like my Instagram. She's like, I just want to tell you though, like I'm emotionally unavailable. Boom. Instantly. Said it to me point blank, right? The trigger in your mind, right? So now we're having this flirtatious moment, right? There is vibes, I could tell. And I think it's where a lot of people get stuck too. They're giving you some energy. It's not that they're not. They're having that energy. But as soon as she said that in my mind, boom, done. That phrase comes out of their fucking mouth in the first couple weeks of dating or when you first meet them, shut it down. If you're looking for a deep commitment. But here's the thing too. There's a lot of people that go along with the emotionally unavailable person thinking, oh, well, I just want casual right now too. I'm emotionally unavailable too. And I find that most of those people that say that, and that's what I'm talking about, the people that say that, but they're not really, because what they really want is they actually want a deep commitment. But the problem with not being self-aware enough to understand your own truth, if you sign on to casual, you sign on to emotionally unavailable, you're fucking yourself from the jump. Truly. So as soon as she said that, I exchanged the Instagram. I got her Instagram and I just never messaged her. She ends up reaching back out to me at some point. I want to say like a month later. And she was like, what did she say? She was just like, you fucking gave me such a hard time about giving me your fucking Instagram. I might have told you guys this story before on the podcast. But you made such a fucking big deal about getting my fucking Instagram and you didn't say anything, blah, blah, blah. And like we were then talking about playing games. I was like, I'm literally not going to message you. This is a message I sent her. I said, I was not going to message you, swear, because I'm not going to participate with someone that is playing little girl games. So when you're done playing, I'll give you some energy. And she said, no, you're 100% valid for that. But do you get what I'm saying? Yo, when somebody's telling you that, that should be an immediate shutdown. Now, I have good boundaries around that, right? And now a lot of other people might take that and run with it. Maybe you would have went home and you would have messaged her and you would have just tried to hang out with her. But what are you doing that for? If you want something real and you want something genuine, you can't fuck around. And so to your case, right? I think it's a little bit harder when you're talking to somebody. And that's the second story I'm going to get into as well. But it's much harder when you're like talking to somebody. And then they tell you that they're emotionally unavailable, but then they're still showing you all of this energy. And that's kind of where you're stuck, because here's the thing. On one end, right? Like if they're giving you that like hope that maybe at some point they're going to be available, there's parts of you that wants to be patient and hold on to this hope. But here's the two pitfalls to me with people that deal with emotionally unavailable people. Two pitfalls. Number one, you take it personally. It is not about you. It is not about your value. And that's what you need to get through your head. Love is not something that is earned. You're not here to convince people to care about you and to love you. And when somebody tells you they're emotionally unavailable, again, in our mind, it's like, oh, it feels like rejection. And then sometimes it feels like, what about me makes this person want to be emotionally unavailable? But it's like, no, that person is telling you that they have a fear and they are getting run by fear. You have to leave them right then and there. And I'm not saying leave them like that. I'm saying in your mind, you have to create this barrier that says, okay, that's about them. Me, that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with my value, that you're emotionally unavailable and you might not want something real or you might not want something deep. I need to take responsibility and accountability for my needs and say, hey, is this a relationship that I want to be a part of? Is this a person that I want to continue to give my energy to? Because to me, what you're doing is you're wasting your own fucking time and you're digging your own grave when you're trying to convince somebody that is emotionally unavailable to date you. Because here's the flip side of the coin. What they probably really need, honest, is, again, patience to do their own inner work and figure shit out for themselves. And by you continuing to try to give them and earn their love, honestly, you know what it is? They're going to push you away even harder. They already have fear about being loved. So when you give that person love, all they do is resist it harder. So you are not only just like ruining your chances by continuing to move forward with that person, trying to convince them to love you, because all you're doing is pleasing and pushing them away, but you're not giving them the ability to take space and to figure shit out for themselves. If that relationship is truly meant to be, they'll come back and they'll find you. They'll come back and it will make sense. But again, you have to not take it personally when somebody says that to you. And that brings us into pitfall number 2, is we try to change them. Is we try to convince them, right? So you saying how to handle this person that's telling you they're emotionally available but keeps talking to you. What are you going to do? You know the result that you want. If you're asking me this question, the result that you want is you want commitment. You want somebody that is emotionally available. You know what I'm saying? You want somebody emotionally available. You don't want somebody emotionally unavailable. So here's the thing, is when they're talking to you, in your head, you're like, well, maybe if I just stick around, and maybe if I just keep talking to them or helping them, I can't tell you how many people are then become the fixer, right? You become the fixer. Oh, and trust me, I did this. This was my pitfall. And I'm telling you from personal experience, and I'm going to give you the story in a second. But the pitfall then becomes, oh, well, I see that they like me, right? Because they're giving me energy. I could tell that they care about me. And that's the confusing part, right? Because they're showing me, hey, you're hitting me up. You're asking me to do things, but then on the other end, you're telling me you're emotionally unavailable. Actually, you know what I'll do? I could see that you care about me. Now, if I just give you my love, that will eventually win you over. That will eventually make you emotionally available. It's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. If I give you more love and show you that somebody can actually love you, that you'll just get it. That at some point you'll figure it out. And then you'll end up being with me. Pitfall. Pitfall is we try to change them and we don't actually change ourselves. So 2 of them, right? Number 1, a lot of the times we take it personal, right? Kills our self-worth and we make it about us. Now it becomes ego. Now it becomes ego to convince you to try to care about me. And again, the second part, I'm then going to show you all this love and energy to earn your love because I don't feel good about me. And ultimately, I try to change you, but what happens? Let's be honest. Let's be fucking real. Does that emotionally unavailable person ever come around? No. They don't come around, and here's the thing. They don't come around when you're present. That's the key. The key is when you don't set boundaries and give them their space to get their shit together, not only are you not going to get what you want, they're not going to do the proper work on themselves, if they even want to do that. I find that most people that fucking say that, they don't fucking figure it out. They don't. And maybe they will later on in life. So I'm going to tell you the story. Now, if you guys go back in time, I made a podcast called Gym Crushed, right? And if you guys are avid confidence podcast listeners, you guys would know that there was this gym crush at my gym, and she was being very avoidant. She was always hitting me up to hang out. And then I would leave her house being like, damn, this girl is giving me all this energy, but when I'm there, she doesn't actually like, she's not intimate with me. It seems like she wants to be intimate with me, but she's so scared. And I just kept leaving her house being like, what the fuck is this? And then at one point I turn around and I'm like, yo, listen, I fucking like you. Like, what's good? Do you like me? Yes or no? You know what I'm saying? I hit her with the ultimatum. And I'm just like, do you care? And she's like, oh, I like you. I like you. And then turns around and then eventually tells me that, oh no, I can't do this, right? Oh, there's something fucked up about me. And that's what's funny is that she did tell me that. She told me point blank to my face when I told her that I liked her, she said, I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't treat people right. And I'm just fucked up. And I think I need to do some work on myself. And here's my problem though, right? I'm a dating coach. I'm a healer. And I think for a lot of us, but you're not dating coaches, but in your mind, you're like, oh, well, I could help you, right? Because that was my thing. I was like, okay, I've helped and guided this girl in a lot of ways. I can get her to come around. If I just show her love and I show her that I'm not going to be here and I keep telling her that I like her and I care about her, she's going to figure it out. Turns out she doesn't. She avoids me the entire, we go to this concert. And if you guys want to go listen to it, Jim Crushed, that's the episode. And then I come on here and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like this girl, like essentially douched me, you know what I'm saying? In person. And then we just never talked after that. We had a phone call. We were like, all right, let's just be friends. Never talked ever again. Never talked to her again until this weekend. So fast forward, that's in October, right? So I'm sitting at the coffee shop a few days ago. It's just me and one other person in there. Next thing you know, bro, out of the corner of my eye, Jim Crush walks in the coffee shop. I'm like, holy shit. She's got her little new dog with her. Her little dog is like all playful. It's a little golden doodle. It's fucking running around everywhere. She walks up to me. I give her a hug. Hey, how you doing? Like, how you been? Cordial. Like, I'm respectful. It's no bad blood. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's not personal. So, you know, we say hi. You know, she seems very warm towards me. I was like, this is interesting. So, you know, I sit there, I finish my work, I'm about to leave, and she stops me again. She's like, hey, like, what are you working on? Like, what's going on? How have you been? Her, like, dog's jumping on me. I was like, oh, like, she's like, say hi. I was like, well, you know, fucking pet her dog. And I was like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I got to go. I leave. Homegirl, like, texts me after I leave, right? And now remember, the last time we talked, like, all this shit went down. And she's like, I'm really sorry about my dog. I'm embarrassed about our behavior. I never even thought people being allergic to dogs. I apologize if he made you feel uncomfortable. I'll definitely be more aware and considerate in the future. Heart. And I was like, this is interesting. You know what I'm saying? What's that about? Listen, I'm going to let you make your own opinions. And I'm not saying it's a big deal. All I'm going to say is this. What I realized is that these people that are telling you they're emotionally unavailable or they're self-conscious or there's fear, just fucking believe them. They're not ready for something real. The truth is that they've got a lot of inner demons. And as you could tell from that message, she's still very self-conscious. And that's been her issue the entire time. And I was trying to fix that. But the truth of the matter is that's who they are. Leave them where they are. Don't try to change them. Set your boundaries. Right. And for me, I don't even look at it as like a bad situation because at the end of the day, I was telling her what I wanted. Yo, I like you. I care. Are you going to show up for me? Yes or no? I was like, I can't have you acting like this. If this is how you're going to act or this is how you're going to show up, I don't want to be with you. So either act right or let's go. Let's keep it moving. And here's my whole thing is don't be afraid of these fucking people. Don't lower yourself down for somebody that's telling you they're emotionally unavailable. They're self-conscious. Listen, yes, the disappointment of not getting that person hurts. It does. Look at it in the face is what I'm trying to tell you. Look at it in the face. The truth is they don't want what you're offering right now. The truth is they're not ready for what you got. But what you need to take solace in is it's not personal. It's not personal. It's not about you. Don't make it about you. You're making it about ego. I got to get this person to care. And again, I get it because they're showing you energy, which you know that they do care. That's the fucking, you know, the catch-22. That's the fucking mind fuck. Is you could see the energy. That's what I'm trying to say. Even in person at the coffee shop, I'm like, I already know what time it is. I know what time it is. but you're not on my level, to keep it real. You don't have the self-trust that I do. You don't have the confidence. I'm just gonna keep it real. And whether you don't think I'm attractive, whatever reasons you have them. I don't care. All I really know is that you're not in alignment with me because you are not prepared to give me what I need. And I just let them be what they are. You know what I'm saying? What did I do? After that moment in October, leveled myself up, hit the books, did what I needed to do. I got uncomfortable and I said, I'm not going to settle for that. Yeah, that shit hurt in the moment. That's what I'm trying to say. I've gotten hurt, what, twice now? 3 times on this podcast? Come on now. Between Texas, Jim Crush, this last one. But here's the thing. It's funny. All 3 of them cited fear, right? Fucking long distance girl. I'm too hesitant. You can't hold me. And I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And again, maybe my energy is too strong. But here's the thing. Why am I settling for somebody that can't handle that? Why are you settling for somebody that will not accept your love? Doesn't make sense. And again, the pitfall is trying to convince them for it. Don't convince them. Find the next person that is willing to show up and give that to you. Set that boundary. Because let me tell you something. They'll be back. They'll be back. And even if it's like a minor, you know what I'm saying? I had this little minor moment with her. Who knows? It's not really that deep. It really is not. My whole point is I'm leveled up way past that. You're gone. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. See the emotionally unavailable behavior, recognize it, nip it in the fucking bud. Don't take it personal. Don't try to change them. Change yourself. Change yourself looks like, I deserve more than this. I'm going to move on. Yes, I'm going to bear the disappointment because I see that you're giving me energy, but I have to hold that boundary because you're telling me the truth. You're telling me that you're afraid. You're telling me that you're not ready. I'm going to get into my own energy. I'm going to level myself up. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to hit the books. I'm going to do the things I need to do. And guess what? We're going to look back in 6 months. Deuces. You're not on my level. Peace. You're nowhere close. Because you're running around in fear. That's how you operate. I don't operate like that. I operate in confidence. I operate with a belief that I can get the things that I want. And that's what you need to have too. Because when you're stuck with an emotionally unavailable person, guess what? Yes, they're scared, but you are too. That's the truth. You're scared that you can't get somebody that is emotionally available. Because if you did, you'd set boundaries, right? Your boundaries follow your beliefs. We talk about it all the time on this podcast. And I understand that it's hard because, again, look at me, right? I had to go through those situations to learn this. I'm not sitting up here saying you're going to be perfect, right? So the other thing that you can do to handle this situation is limit the amount that you're talking to him. Set that boundary that you have. Like, listen, I'm not talking to you every day. I'm not spending every day with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to continue to hang out with you and fuck you and all this shit when you're telling me you're emotionally unavailable and I know I want something more. I'm actually betraying myself by participating in that. And that's, you know, for a lot of the people that I work with, my coachees, you know, this is the hard part because they go on these dates with these guys or, you know, they hang out with these guys that say those things. And what they do is, I'm telling you, they try to convince, they try to fix, they try to, oh, well, if I'm just patient and I hold on to hope. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying at some point they can't get their shit figured out, but you got to let them go get it figured out. Don't sit there and figure it out for them. Because all you're going to be doing is pleasing, trying to get their fucking approval. And all you're going to do is look like shit, to keep it real. You're going to come off unattractive. Your value is, you know what I'm saying? If somebody's telling you that they can't give you what you want and you're there like being like, please give me what I want. They might be low on the totem pole, but you're lower. Truth. So, you know what I'm saying? Level yourself up. Don't be afraid of the uncomfortable feelings of disappointment. Right? And that's, I guess, what I'm saying. Even in both these situations, I'm in their grill. Yo, I like you. What's good? And maybe that's not the move, you know, because you can't control people, right? And those people that are fearful and self-conscious, they need patience. That's the truth. You know, the partner that they're going to find and maybe is going to work out better for them is somebody that's a little bit more patient and somebody that's a little bit more on their level and somebody that's like willing to wait and do that. Okay, go find it. Go be with that. Sometimes your energy is a little too strong for people. And listen, I'm not saying control them, right? It's not about control. It's about stating your intentions and your feelings and your perceptions. That's all you're doing. You're saying, yo, I want something real. Are you ready for that? No? Okay. Then our needs don't align. There's nothing personal about that. And the problem is, again, is making it about you. Oh, I must not be worthy of their love if they're telling me that. No, it's about them. It's about them. Cut that shit out. It's not about you. Yeah, honestly, some people are really in a part of their life. I'm serious. Like the times that I've said I'm emotionally unavailable to people, like I would say, about a week or two ago, I would say I was genuinely emotionally unavailable. Now I feel like I'm open to risks and opportunities for sure. A lot different. But there's a period where I needed some time to gather myself a little bit. And that's honest. And if you came into my life at that point, give me some space. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you from my perspective as an emotionally available person just a week ago. 2, I need a minute. Give me a second. And that's the other thing too. I guess that's the reverse, right? So you want to know how to handle it. You got to handle it with patience and letting go. Right? Not trying to control. Because I think that was my pitfall. That's why I'm trying to tell you from the mistakes that I've made. The pitfall for me was trying to control both girls. Trying to be like, okay, well, I like you. Figure it out. Yes or no. Instead of just being like, okay, if you're not ready, go take your time. It's still the same result. It's still the same result, right? Because the result doesn't change. The result isn't I get them now because I'm more patient. The result becomes, okay, I give them an opportunity to let go of that shell, right? But my whole point is if that's the way that they're feeling and that's who they are, again, we're talking about gym crush, right? She's still self-conscious. Do you see that text message? Wild. For her dog touching me. I mean, I get it, I guess. But that's been her MO since the jump. And I guarantee you, every single girl that I've talked to in the past, guess what? The way that they're showing up to you is going to be the way that they're showing up to the next partner. If they're not working on their self-growth and they're not on their own, they're not growing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they can grow into a different relationship. But here's what I find is if somebody jumps into another relationship right away, my whole point is they are going to be the same exact person in that next relationship. At what point did they have growth? At what point did they change? And think about this. When you first met that person, were those red flags really there? Maybe a little bit, but what's going to happen? Let's say somebody leaves you, right, for another person fast. And guess what? Honeymoon phase might be there. Might be good vibes, might be good energy because you know how it was when y'all first met. It probably was easy. It probably was a little smoother, but give it a little bit of time. Give it a little bit of time. That's what I told myself. Because what happened is I know that Gym Crush, she had talked to some other dude at the gym. And I was just like, okay, guess what? They're not together. She's avoidant. She's self-conscious. You know what I'm saying? The relationships are not going to work out for her, ultimately. My whole point is leave people where they're at. If they're fearful and they don't got their shit together and they're telling you that to your face, believe them. Don't take it personal. Speak up for what you need and get moving. I hope that answered your question. All right. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about trust. I read something sensational about trust. And it really, because I would say in my past, right, something that I had worked on, right, we talked about lessons learned in my previous situations, my relationships. The biggest thing for me is I feel like I have trust issues, right? You want to talk about emotionally unavailable, right? In some ways, I haven't been able to be that because I'm also was operating from a place of fear, right? Fearing that disappointment, fearing that somebody can't actually love me. And again, it is very hard. But I guess that's what it is. I need patience. And for anybody that's emotionally unavailable, that's really what they need. But again, maybe they need that space to figure that out. Right? They need a little bit of time on their own to figure that out. But here's the thing. Here's what I read about trust. Trust is not about the other person. It is about how much do you trust yourself to handle the situation if it does not go well. That shit blew my mind. Because here's the thing. What we always tell ourselves is this. Oh, I don't trust them. Oh, I don't trust her. I don't trust him. What are you really saying when you say that? What you really are saying is, I don't trust that I can handle the negative experience or the negative feelings or uncomfortable feelings that I will feel if they do something to harm me or to hurt me. What you're really telling them is that you don't believe them. That's different. Trust is about you. Trust is not about them. And I was like, holy shit. That's so fucking real. Because what trust really is, again, for you, and think about this. Imagine if you knew that you could handle the uncomfortable feelings or the disappointment that comes from not getting what you want. How would you act? That's the key to confidence right there. You would think about this. You could do anything in your world, anything in your life. You could send any text message. You can walk up to any person. You could post any video. You could do anything. Because if you trust yourself to be able to handle rejection or the negative result, that's confidence. That's trust. That's true trust. Like I said, trust is more about you than it is about them. You know what I'm saying? It's not on them. And see, this is where my pitfall was in my previous situation, right? Is what I needed to do, and this is how we become more patient, is we say to ourselves, I trust that if they fuck me over, that I'm going to be okay. And think about, you're talking about this emotionally unavailable man. How do you handle that? This is the key. State your intentions. Hey, I want something real. Is that something that you want? First off, you probably have so much fear to even say that to his face because you're like, well, if he says no or doesn't want to be with me, how is that going to make me feel? And you're scared of that feeling. So you make it about him. Oh, I don't trust him. No, you don't trust yourself that if he tells you no, that you're going to be able to handle it. So that's what you really need to do is you need to instill the idea that trust is about you. Trust is up to you to have. And that's what I'm trying to say. In my previous situation, if I had that trust that I could handle the disappointment of her meeting somebody else or, fucking me over, I probably wouldn't be able to be more patient, right? I could just show up in that relationship and be like, all right, let's just see where it goes. Because yeah, if she's with somebody else, then I guess that's what she wants to do. Think about that attitude. Think about that attitude for a half a second. How unlimited is that? What a freeing idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could. I mean, obviously, again, how you manage those disappointing moments is hard, right? That's the hard part is, can you sit there and allow that to suck? But that's the ultimate idea of risk-taking. Risk-taking is there is a chance that it might not go your way. But it's the people that can handle that rejection that are super successful. I read this quote about like this oil company. It's a very strange little segue. But they were like, why are you guys the most successful oil company in the world? He said simply, he's like, we dig more holes. We dig more holes. That's the truth. If you take more shots and you risk more stuff, the more chances that you are going to get the result that you want. Of course, you're going to get negative ones, but if you could handle the rejection and the feeling of that, what are you going to do? You're going to dig more holes. That's what I'm trying to say. If you had that feeling and that trust, you could speak your boundaries. You could say what you need to say because you trust that you can handle that result and that you'll become a better person for it. So I feel like that's the mindset that I want you to instill in yourself, right? Even if it's this week, this today, whatever it is like, if I could trust myself to handle the negative feelings that associate with disappointment or not getting the result that I want, what action would I take? What boundary would I set? What would I say? How would I speak up to my partner if I had that type of ability? And it's hard, right? We all operate from ego. We talked about this, not taking things personally. But yeah, I mean, this is all the stuff that I feel like I'm learning and trying to incorporate even into my own life. Like now for me, it's just like, if I send a text message to someone, I'm like, dude, you answer me, you don't. That's not up to me, right? You want to talk about detachment, relinquishing control. It comes down to this, trusting yourself to be able to handle disappointing moments. All right, let me get into some of the audience questions. There was a couple of them. There's some pretty good ones too. All right, let's just go down the line. Let's go down the line. All right. All right. So someone asked, should I reach out to a guy who made plans twice and didn't follow through? Still kind of curious. Now, this is a great moment. Why are you curious? This sounds to me like you're trying to earn somebody's attention and earn somebody's love. Well, of course you're still curious, right? He's being resistant towards you, and that makes you feel like you are undeserving or that you need his attention. And what you're saying is this guy has made plans twice and didn't follow through, dead that motherfucker on the spot. Keeping it real. I had a girl this week actually that I was like hanging out with a couple times. She flaked on 3 or 4, a couple different plans. I think I tried to make plans with her 5 different times and she's shown up about 2 or 3 of them. I think it was 2 out of the 5. There hits a point where when you're that inconsistent, done. Why am I fucking around with somebody that can't show up? Why do you need this guy's attention? Why are you trying to chase and get this guy to hang out with you? If he really wants to, he'll figure it out. And when you have that mindset, that's when they start to come back around. He could probably feel this energy, right? Think about this energy of just this message. What do you think this girl is? More of a pleaser. And what happens to pleasers? They get rejected. Keeping it facts. Keeping it facts. When you don't have that self-trust that you deserve somebody to show up for you when they tell you they're going to be there, you're not holding a standard. You're not living by a code. You're not having self-respect. And I know I'm taking it really deep for like something like this. Sometimes there is first date resistance where it is a little bit harder to hang out with somebody at first. So here's the other part too. We talked about trust, right? And trusting that you can handle a negative result. If you feel that there are valid reasons why this guy didn't show up and there were honest reasons, I say shoot the shot. I say go ahead. Now, in my experience, when you're sitting here saying he didn't follow through, that to me is a trend. That to me is a sign. And my whole thing is, if somebody's not following through and I knew I wanted to follow through multiple times, the onus is on them. The onus is on them to figure it out. Because authentically, that doesn't fly with me. You know what I'm saying? Do you want that in a partner? Do you want a partner that just at any point could just flake? Why are we trying to get the crumbs? You know what I'm saying? Leave this shit. If he hits you up and he tries to make another plan, honestly, this is what I would do. If he even hit me up for another plan, I would turn around and say to him personally, okay, actually, let me give you a good example. I have a friend, right? There is this guy friend that I have recently just started to like hang out with a little bit more. And he essentially like would make these plans. Yo, let's hang out on Friday. And then what would happen is Friday would come and be like, all right, yo, we're going to this. He'd be like, oh, I'm going out. Something else popped up. He's the type of person in this experience that I've had with him that any single time I made a plan with him, if something better popped up, he didn't show up to me. Right? So that happened multiple times where he hits me up. He wants to chill. He tells me that he's available on this day. And then when the day comes, he ends up doing something else. And it happened multiple times. And this is what I said to him directly. And this is a friend. And this is what I'm talking about. I have good boundaries and good communication. And this is what I would challenge you to say to somebody that is trying to make a plan with you that has flaked on you numerous times. He said, hey, I haven't heard from you. You okay? This is what I said. I said, yeah, man, I'm doing better. Just taking some time for myself. The reason I haven't reached out is because I feel like each time we attempt to make plans, we seem to not connect. I'm also in a season where I'm not partying as much, so trying to stay away from those activities. Hope you're doing well. I don't want to go to the club and the bar. This is what this guy wants to do all the time. So I told him, listen, every single time we try to make plans, we don't connect. I'm not making more plans with you. Tell him to his face. That's what I'm trying to say about the emotion unavailable shit. Speak up. There's a reason you're not getting the results that you want. It's because you were afraid to tell people exactly and authentically how you feel. And when they're fucking up, you can't call them out. You got to call them out. But was that disrespectful? Was it in any way disrespectful? Hey, every single time we try to make a plan, we just don't seem to connect. So I don't know how comfortable I feel making another one with you. But the problem is you're so locked in on them being the person, maybe because they're hot or some shit, or maybe because you feel like you don't have a lot of opportunities. But think about the scarcity mindset that you're in. Because you don't believe that you can get the result that you want, which is a genuine friend or someone that can actually show up for you or a partner that's going to be emotionally available, you put up with bullshit like that. I'm not going to have you in my life even as a friend if you're flaking on me like that. I'm good. Keep that. All right. I'm on some bullshit today. I don't know what's going on, baby. I'm fucking feeling it. All right. So, this one's good. Why did he break up with me, but still look at what I'm doing? Here's my experience with this. If someone breaks up with you and they continue to look at your shit, to me, it means they just really don't care that much. Because I think if you cared that much, it'd be too hard to see. The reason that they could sit there and check in and look is because they, in their mind, already knew that you're not their person. Or they have you on the opposite of a pedestal. They view you as just somebody that, all right, they're cool. Again, if they're breaking up with you, that's all the action that you need. It's not because they still care. It's not because they want you. It's they just keep tabs on you because they don't give a fuck. Because they have the, think about this. If you break up with somebody that you genuinely care about, how do you see all their shit? Are you really looking at all of that? No, you're not. Because you're like, dude, this shit hurts me. That's hard for me to see. I mean, even in my situation, when we broke up and this girl's still looking at my shit, I'm like, the truth is, this is, again, another recognition for me where I'm like, she could sit there and watch it because she knows that she doesn't want to give me what I want. So she sits there and watches it because she doesn't really care that much. I know it sounds backwards, but it's just the truth. Because if they genuinely cared, they wouldn't be able to see it. They wouldn't be able to watch it. That's my 2 cents on that. All right. A couple other questions. Question. I was dating a guy 6 months. He showed me and told me he loved me. Then a couple days later says he can't give me more time because he's focused on his career and that I deserve better. Here's a moment. Here's a moment. They deserve better. Believe him. Because I always have guys wanting to date me. Granted, I was happy with what we had. We saw each other once a week and I asked for one more day because I have such a busy schedule myself, which doesn't make sense. But I was able to sacrifice one more day, but that was quote unquote too much. What do you think? This is challenging. And this is a really challenging one, honestly. And the reason I say that is he was giving you what he was willing to give you, right? And here's my thing, is he says he loves you, but he's only willing to spend one day a week with you. I'm not sure if somebody loved me, they would only be able to spend one day a week with me. And this is where the actions are not aligning with the words. You know what I'm saying? This is where it's really hard. And now here's the other thing too. What I do find is, and I'm just going to keep it real, there's some guys that date and they tell you that they care and they tell you that they love you. And really, here's the other thing too. They can be monogamous, right? And that's why I think they tell you that, is because they have no problem being monogamous, But what you really are is a girl that's just almost just like, he likes you, he cares about you, he thinks you're dope, but maybe you're not the end goal. But what it is he's just kind of like, well, this works for me in this part of my life. I get to hang out with her once a week. You know what I'm saying? I could still give her monogamy because I'm not seeing anybody else. And then the rest of the time, I could just work. I could just do my thing. I know that sounds fucked up, but here's the thing. It's like, if you're wanting to spend more time and work on the actual relationship itself, again, to me, that is intimacy. That is closeness. I want to spend time with my partner. What the fuck is the point of loving somebody and caring about somebody if I get to see you once a week? I'm good. But this is where you need to have the cojones, right? You got to have the balls to look that man in the face and say, well, then I guess we're not a match. You want your career more than you want this relationship. And maybe that is true. My whole point is, it sounds to me like you do want more energy from him. And that's what I'm trying to say. If you want to look at it as like a basic equation, you want more energy. He is giving you the amount of energy that he is willing to give you, and he's standing firm in that. And what that means to me is he doesn't care about the relationship more than he cares about that career, which to me means that you're not the final destination. Right? I mean, what is he working so hard for? Where is he going to... My whole thing is this. If a guy is so focused on his career, right? And he's trying to make all this money. He's trying to do all this shit. And he's only spending 1 day a week with you. If he cared about you as much as he did his career, how many days a week would he be spending with you? How much time would he be spending with you on the phone? To me, it's all about attention, right? Our attention is our currency. And if he's only willing to give you 50 cents and you want $1, I mean, think about it like a transaction at a cash register. If you're at a pawn shop and you're like, hey, I want $1 for my love. And he's like, I got 50 cents. All right, your call, right? Your call. Do you accept the 50 cents? Or do you say to yourself, I want $1? You set your own price for your own energy and your own attention. I understand it's hard because he's telling you what you want to hear, but it's all about the actions. What he is willing to pay, he's hitting you with the words. He's like, well, this is one of the nicest 50 cents you've ever seen. This 50 cent, it could be almost $1 maybe later in life. I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Look how hot this 50 cents is. So sexy. It's still 50 cents. And if you want $1, you want $1. And this is where it's confusing, where it's like, and this is the hard part. This is relationships in a nutshell. The truth is, you guys could care about each other, but your needs don't align, right? My previous situations, there's care there. It's not, there's a lack of care. It's not a lack of attraction. It's, what do I need and what are you willing to give? Do those two things align? Because if they don't align, somebody's going to have to compromise. And that's what I'm trying to say. All right, let's say you accept his offer for the 50 cents. Is it good enough? Is that going to feel good for you? What's going to happen? Resentment. Resentment. You might accept the 50 cents. You might accept the once a week thing and say, oh, well, I believe that you love me. My whole point is, now that you've diminished what you want and you've stooped down to that level, your value has diminished. And my whole point is, you're just going to build resentment. It's going to come out in other ways. You're going to be passive aggressive about shit. And then he's going to end up dropping your ass anyways. Truth. Because you weren't willing to stick to your guns. Look what happened to me in my previous situation. I wanted to see you. I wasn't able to stick to it. And then I ended up being the one getting shitted on. Even though I knew I wanted energy and I wanted more. It's a very hard choice. Because I get it. Because, again, there's an attachment. There's sex. There's a lot there. But I'm just giving it to you straight. And maybe you got to proceed forward to figure that out. My whole point is, I'm just a really big believer in people receiving the things that they want. And my whole thing is, I think that if you know what you want deep in your heart, whether you like it or not, that result is going to come. You know what I'm saying? If you know you want $1, even if you accept the 50 cents, eventually it won't be enough, whether it's on his end or yours. So Something to think about. All right. Maybe let's do one more. Let's see. Hey, digging the content. A lot resonates with me. Thank you. Wanted to ask what you think about my ex still sharing her location with me, even though she ended things with me 2 weeks ago. I've been in no contact with her for this week. She hasn't contacted me or replied for the entire 2 weeks. I don't know. You're like, what do I think about your ex keeping your location, giving her your location? You know, this sounds like weirdly avoidant on her side, right? It seems like one of those moves of like, okay, you could see where I'm at, which is showing you, or like, it's almost like she's creating this alibi to you about where she's at and what she's doing. That's how I would take it. And to me, it's almost like this weird little seed that she is giving you to make you feel more safe and to not fully abandon her. But honestly, if I'm you in this particular situation and she hasn't answered me and it's been 2 weeks, I'm removing that shit. I'm taking that shit off. Why are you looking at that? That would just cause me anxiety. That you're going to be sitting there fucking tracking her shit. Come on, dog. My whole point is this. If somebody turns around and they don't want your love, accept it. Accept it. And this is one of those moments. Remove the location. Show her that you're serious about giving her her space then. Say, if you don't want to be with me, I don't want your location. I'm good. And that's what I'm trying to say. To me, sometimes what these people do, and you know, even in previous situations, and I find especially with my women, I don't know if this is like a common, I'm sure it's both genders, but a lot of people, when they break up with you and they're the one that they do it, they almost want to give you a little bit to kind of keep you there just in case they change their mind. Just in case something doesn't work out, they kind of want to have that little thing. And I think for her, the location is the thing, right? It's like, okay, well, if he has my location, he knows that I'm not up to fuckery. And it gives me this alibi, right? Where I could still live my life and do what I want, but it gives him a false sense of security. So that's why I'm telling you is remove it. Remove the false sense of security. Show her you mean business. Set that boundary and say, nah, I'm good. I'm not looking at your location. I don't need this. If you don't want to be with me, I don't need your location. I know that's very hard to do because again, you're craving the crumb. You're craving the alibi. You're craving that safety because you don't want to face the discomfort that this person's not showing up for you. Face the discomfort. Say to yourself, I could handle this, right? We're talking about trust. I could handle her telling me that she doesn't want me. Yes, it fucking sucks. Yes, it hurts. Yes, I might not sleep really well. Yes, it might, again, make me struggle for a little while. But I'm telling you, you push past that point. I mean, look at me right now. I've been on 10 because I allowed myself to feel like shit. I allowed myself to feel disappointed. I cut her off of social media. I took her off my shit. I stopped texting her. No contact. And I faced it head on. I said, I'm going to allow myself to be disappointed. And whether or not she pops back up later in life, it doesn't even fucking matter. Because at the end of the day, you want somebody that is going to choose you from the rip. You want somebody that is going to choose you genuinely. And I think that's the whole premise and summary of this podcast. If somebody's turning around and not choosing you for whatever reason, fucking let them. Let them not choose you. Go fucking hustle. Go be uncomfortable for a second. Go take an L for a second. I know it's hard because the thing is we want to always be on 10. Everybody wants to be on 100 all the time. Of course we want to be confident every day. We want to be happy every day. But what happens is you avoid the negativity, you avoid the uncomfortable feelings, you avoid the reality, and all it does is come back up as stress, it comes up as suffering, it comes up as anxiety, because what you're doing is you're not allowing yourself to face the truth. Face the truth. Feel like shit. Take the hit. Go down for a little bit, but then bring it back up. Build yourself back up. Trust that in 6 months, the situation is going to look a lot different. And that's how you handle these motherfuckers. And if somebody doesn't want you, good. You just fucking lit a fire under my ass. I'm going to level up. I'm going to find the shit I want. And I hope that you have that same mindset. Because to be honest, it's the only one. Don't make it about you. Don't take it personal. Level yourself up. And let's just see what happens in 6 months. Let's see who's going to show up and be kind. And who all of a sudden wants to have a conversation with you. That's all I'm going to say. All right. If you ever want to work with me, you know where to find me. Sign up for the newsletter. Take the dating quiz. The dating quiz was broken for half a second. So if you try to do it, go do it again. I'm sorry about that. I love you guys a lot. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Let's kick some ass. Let's keep it going.